Right, yes guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're talking transfer news related to Wrexham AFC. There's been some breaking news the past 12 hours or so regarding two players potentially joining the club. But before we get going in today's video, if you're looking for all the best Wrexham AFC content on YouTube, this is the place to be. Make sure to get down there and click the red subscribe button now. So we're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Absolutely incredible. Let's see if we could hit it by the end of maybe the year would be a good target. But yeah, enough of the waffle. Let's get talking about transfer news. So the first bit of transfer news we're going to be talking about is Brandon Hanlan. Now apparently the 26-year-old striker has agreed personal terms with Wrexham AFC on a new potential signing. We knew the other day that Wrexham had made an improved bid of around £400,000 for Brandon Hanlan, which has apparently been accepted by the chairboys. We saw last night he wasn't featured in their Carabao Cup squad. In the manager's interview, it sort of sounded like he was potentially going away from the club and that they were going to lose him, so it sort of seems nailed on that Hanlon is going to join Wrexham. So yeah, we do know that there is definitely some truth in this potential signing, as the same journalist has reported in the past about O'Connell signing, Ryan Barnett signing, and even Luke Nicholas a couple of weeks ago. So there's definitely some truth behind this signing. We're going to give a quick profile on Brandon Hanlan. Like I said, he's a 26-year-old striker who's played for the likes of Colchester, Bromley, Gillingham, and obviously his recent team Wycombe Wanderers. So he's gained experience in the EFL, in the National League. He's a striker that has attributes that we currently don't have in our selection in the final third, and that's why I think this signing could be very, very interesting. Now, in 283 career games, Hanlon has scored 48 goals, making that a goal every 5.8 games. Now, without even looking into it too much, we can understand that that's not the greatest of scoring records in comparison to our current striker Paul Mullin, who has a goal every 2.4 games, and Ollie Palmer, who has a goal every 3.3 games. So, although Hanlon's got that experience in League One, in League Two, his goal scoring record isn't the greatest, but I think he makes up for it with other attributes that could add a lot to our front line. His best scoring record did come for Gillingham in the 2018-19 season, where he did score 9 goals, so he's yet to hit double figures in a season in his career at 26 years of age. I'm sure he'll be disappointed at that. Hopefully that can turn if he does sign for Wrexham. And Hanlon for Wycombe Wanderers. Now, looking into his stats this season, it definitely shows that he has lacked game time. In the 4 games that he has played, he's only featured for 55 minutes in those games, so it's clear to see he's not a regular starter in the team. So, you know, at the minute, with the absence of Paul Mullin, it could be a lucrative offer to Brandon Hanlan, because he might obviously be guaranteed game time whilst Mullin is out injured. And I think it's definitely fair to say that he is currently dropped down the pecking order at Wycombe Wanderers, and obviously recently last night we can see with the verdict from the manager that we can sort of understand that Hanlon is definitely moving away from Wycombe. I think this is going to be an interesting signing because Hanlon offers something, like I said, that we don't currently have with our current strikers, and those attributes obviously are pace and power. We've got Palmer, we've got Dolby, who has got that strength and power like Hanlon does, but Hanlon offers that pace as well going forward. One of his assists a couple of weeks ago against Bristol City used his power and pace down the middle to thread that ball through. So he's got promising attributes to his game, and ones that I'm sure Wrexham fans will be interested to see how he does in a Wrexham shirt. And I do think without Paul Mullin up top, we just have lacked that cutting edge, and that sounds stupid considering we've scored 14 goals, but only 3 of those goals have been scored by players who have been put in that front two. So I definitely think bringing Hanlon in would be obviously a great addition to the squad, but with the rumoured £400,000 fee we're apparently paying for him, it is an interesting one. And like I said, I think Palmer and Bickerstaff have been absolutely brilliant since they've come in so far this season, but I do think we've just missed that someone to get onto the flick-ons or to use their pace. We've lacked sort of pace up front, someone who can drive forward with the ball. Don't get me wrong, Bickerstaff has shown some promising signs, but it's going to be hard to replace a striker like Paul Mullin, and I think Hanlon at the minute is not the closest we could get to him, but with how late on it is in the transfer window, I think this would be probably one of the better options we could have got. Reading from a Wycombe fan on Twitter, he said that he's been far from his best at them, nowhere near the level that he can reach. With good service and the right partnership, he'd score a hatful at another club. Now, this is definitely promising words, and it's just whether Parky and the team can get the best out of Brandon Hanlan. Can he get the ground running straight away? Because that's sort of what we do need. So yeah, that's the questions we'll be asking. Adding Hanlan to the mix is only a benefit. Now, why are Wrexham deciding to go in for Brandon Hanlan? The obvious answer is Paul Mullin's injury. There's no due date for Mullin to be back in full training. Obviously, apparently he spoke to a fan outside the ground and said it was 5 more weeks. And according to some sources, his contact training has been delayed by a few weeks because he's in pain. We don't know if that's true or not, but I think it could be at least another maybe over a month that we'll see Mullin back in full action, so hence why I think we've gone in for Hanlon. And obviously he'll add extra competition to the other strikers, to Billy Waters, to Dolby, to Palmer, Bickerstaff, who can't get too comfortable in their boots. And like I said, I think adding Hanlon to the mix will spice things up, will obviously give us that extra cover that I do think we need at the minute, and he offers something different. That's the main thing, pace and power. It will be interesting to see if we get him across the line for Saturday against Tranmere. Obviously, I'm keeping our fingers crossed that we do, and it possibly allows us to try a new game style in the final third, which it's only a benefit bringing Hanlon into the club. What does this mean to our youngster Jake Bickerstaff now? I think Bickerstaff has been absolutely brilliant since filling the boots in for Paul Mullin. I think it's obviously a really hard job, especially it being in League Two. It'd have been hard enough as it is if it was in the National League, but the way how he stepped into the team, 2 goals in 4 games in League Two, what a start it's been for him. It will be interesting because I think at the minute, I would say he's probably our best striker. If we were to play Hanlon and Palmer as it stands, I would like to think Bickerstaff is definitely our strongest backup at the minute on form, that is. So it will be interesting to see how he does. Hanlon obviously has that experience over Bickerstaff and Dolby, so will Hanlon jump straight into the team? We don't know, but I think Bickerstaff will definitely be used as a squad player this season. I do think keeping Jake Bickerstaff on for this season is definitely the right option, and the option I think Phil Parkinson and his coaching staff should make. Obviously, I think he deserves game time week in, week out, and would he get that on a loan move at a National League club? Probably, but having said that, I would absolutely love to keep Bickerstaff at Wrexham for this season. Yeah, we've discussed the fee, £400,000 already, but it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. It would make him our club record signing, which I think is big boots to fill. Obviously, if you're coming in and being the record signing of Wrexham by at least £100,000, then like I said, you've got to live up to the expectations. So not a great scoring record, but makes up for it with other attributes in his game that I think could be handy to our starting 11. So I've got full faith in Brandon Hanlan. If he does decide to sign for Wrexham FC, it looks more than likely now that he will be a Wrexham player in a couple of days. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And the next bit of news is that Wrexham have targeted Ben Garrett. The 29-year-old free agent is apparently a target for Phil Parkinson as he looks to bring another goalkeeper in to boost the ranks there. Now, Garrett is a 6-foot-tall goalkeeper who's made 347 career appearances for Crewe and Burton Albion, just the 2 clubs in the past 13 years. He's recently departed League One side Burton Albion after playing 21 times last season, conceding 38 goals as the Brewers finished in a respectable 15th place. Now, in the 21-22 season, Ben Garrett did feature 40 times in the League One season, so we can sort of give a true representation of the goalkeeper he is by looking at his stats from this season. Now, in the 21-22 season, he faced 175 shots, saving 112 of those, giving him a 64 save percentage per 90 minutes of football, which means 71% of goalkeepers did actually better him that season. So I don't really know what to think of that. I think it's understandable that he has got a stat like that, because obviously we know Burton as a club, they're probably running on a much lower budget than some other teams in that league. You know, that season you had the likes of Plymouth Argyle, Barnsley, Derby, Portsmouth. You know, you've got big clubs that are running on probably big, maybe 3 times the wages that Burton Albion could offer. So it's understandable that they won't have the quality across the pitch as those teams do. I mean, a rating of 6.7 over the season when he did play 40 games, I think is definitely respectable, and it isn't too bad for a team that were fighting relegation and were in the bottom 8. I just want to highlight as well that last season Garrett was quite unpredictable. Now, in some games he would play really well. For example, he got 7.4 match rating against Peterborough, 8.2 away at Exeter, 8.4 at home to Lincoln, and in his penultimate match that season for Burton Albion, he got a man of the match rating of 8.6 away at Forest Green. This game was followed by a 5-0 defeat away at Morecambe, where he did actually rank the worst player on the pitch with a rating of 4.6, and since then he didn't see the light of day in a Burton Albion shirt, and that was his final game for the club. Now, I don't think we can sort of take too much away from that. It was probably just an off day for Burton, but like I said, he didn't feature again and was recently released. But when Garrett was at Crewe Alexandra, he did actually play 92 out of 92 games across 2 seasons, where he was on the end of a relegation to League Two, and then they did struggle in their first season back in League Two, where they did finish 16th place. Another thing I feel like is important to note is the fact that Ben Garrett is very comfortable with dealing with a back three with the wing backs. So Burton Albion did actually play that formation last season, so he's comfortable with the formation that Wrexham play. So I think that's definitely something that Parkinson has kept in his mind when looking for goalkeepers. So could that be an indication that Garrett is being brought in as possibly a number one, or to definitely compete with that role with Mark Howard? A bit like what we've seen with Arsenal with David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale. Are they both going to compete out for that number one spot? Now, my verdict on Ben Garrett as a signing, I mean, it's a free signing. You can't really complain with a player that you're not paying any money for the transfer fee. It's only the wages that you've got to bother about, and I don't think there's any harm in going in for another goalkeeper. I think a lot of people are definitely going to be put off by this stat, but for me it's worth a punt. It would give competition for obviously Howard, McNicholas, and would allow us to be more rotational when picking goalkeepers for games, for example in the EFL trophy. So yeah, it will be interesting. It'll mean we'll have 3 top goalkeepers that can easily jump into that number one spot. Obviously we know at the minute Rob Lainton is a bit injury prone. He's got an injury, and it would be very unfair to chuck Liam Hall into the deep end and starting before a National League game. So I mean, McNicholas more than capable of coming into the starting 11. Mark Howard, I don't really need to say anything, to be honest. He's more than comfortable in playing a goal. And Ben Garrett, 350 games in the EFL. He would have no problem in slotting into that number one role. I think another plus about Ben Garrett is the fact that he's only ever played in League One and League Two. So he's got well over 300 games under his belt. He's got the knowledge of the leagues, League One and League Two. And I think with a good environment here at Wrexham, he could definitely flourish. We could definitely get the best out of Ben Garrett, and it could add some high competition to our goalkeeping department. So I think this signing could only be a positive, and it's not like he's going to demand stupid wages. Okay, it's going to be probably maybe around £2,500, as that's what he's probably on at Burton, but it's more about ambition. If he's got ambition, he'd want to come to Wrexham, and like I said, I think this signing would definitely only be a positive. So let me know in the comment section down below, are you excited to possibly see these 2 players in Wrexham shirts? What are your thoughts on Hanlon? What are your thoughts on Ben Garrett? I'll be reading all the comments in the comment section, so yeah, make sure to drop one, and make sure to drop a like, subscribe, watch my vlog from yesterday and our penalty defeat to Bradford. Disappointing, yes, but I think it was a really good vlog personally. Obviously you've got the penalty shootout, the absolute carnage when Will Boyle scored. Make sure to go and watch the vlog, and I'll see you in another video, probably one before the Tranmere game on Saturday. I am nervous for that one. It's a big game. You're going to see an incredible vlog for that. Until then, take care. Up the town.